is it?
Bum-ba-da-bum. You're locked into the Flagship, an Ole Miss podcast powered by College Corner.
Here we go.
1, 2, 3.
Get your daily Rebel sports fix at the Ole Miss Spirit, omspirit.com.
Welcome into this Monday edition of the Flagship. I'm your host, Zach Berry. No Ben Garrett today. No talk of champions as Ben is traveling, but have no fear. I am here with you. And then our very own Jake Thompson will be joining us momentarily as we head into the bye week with a lot of time for reflection as Ole Miss loses another one late when everything seemed to be in hand. We'll get to that and more. Jake just got back from Lane Kiffin's presser. We'll talk about what Lane Kiffin had to say. So we'll kind of cover everything here on the Flagship. Before we bring Jake in, want to remind you, show brought to you each and every day by our good friends at the College Corner. 3 locations, Oxford, Ridgeland, Flowood. Check them out online, collegecornerstore.com. The new one in Oxford on Sisk Avenue. Go over there, check it out. Bye week, but next week, Ole Miss hosts Oklahoma. They will be debuting the new Realtree helmet. If you want to go get that design, head on over to College Corner. The Realtree gear is slowly trickling in, but you need to go get it now before it sells out. But College Corner, Sisk Avenue, and like I said, online, collegecornerstore.com. Podcast also brought to you by USA Benefits Group and our good buddy Drew Moak. If you want to cut those premiums 20 to 30%, look no further than Drew Moak and USA BG. You can get your free quote today by calling him 601-953-8449 or go online, usabg.com/DMOAK. Also brought to you by our good friends at Rowback. If you go now, rowback.com, pick up a shirt, polo, anything on that website, make sure to use promo code JUICE for 20% off. I did talk to the folks at Rowback. They will have Ole Miss polos for next football season. For now, if you want to get one, you kind of have to settle for the Mississippi-themed ones, but, you know, it's not really settling. They're pretty sharp. I like them. Yeah, promo code JUICE for 20% off. And then last but certainly not least, our friends at Homefield Apparel, homefieldapparel.com. Got the VIP boxes. They've got a new corduroy hat. Lots of Ole Miss stuff on their website. Before you check out, use promo code LASTDANCE24 for 15% off your first purchase. All right, without further ado, let's bring in our good buddy, Jake Thompson. He was in Baton Rouge Saturday night, saw everything live and in color. Were you down on the field for the fourth quarter and overtime, Jake?
Yeah, we got down there. They let us on the field, I think, 5 minutes to go in the fourth. So we got down there right when Dart was kind of having those good runs, looked like designed runs and moving downfield. And then Caden hit that field goal in the fourth quarter, not the overtime one, but we were all down there for all that. And then kind of tucked away in the corner where the Ole Miss fans were at band, because that's kind of the tunnel for that. And, obviously, Tiger Stadium, it's, in the stands, it's a different level, or up in the press box, different atmosphere. When you're on the field for just even 5 minutes, 10 minutes, so it was a 4-hour game, the atmosphere is a different level. And it was just interesting to watch that. And then obviously the emotions of, all right, looks like Ole Miss has this. Perkins was like a fingertip away from sacking Nussmeier on that down to make it like 4th and probably 20-something, and makes an incredible play, which Kiffin even commented again last night and today, and I'm sure they'll play that one, which, people who get PTSD off Billy Cannon highlights will be excited to hear, I'm sure. But it's it was a tough one. It was a big game, and obviously frustrations of a game that probably shouldn't have been what it was at that time. With what you could probably hypothetically say they left 17 points off, on the table in the first 10 minutes of the game, and and even Caden makes that field goal in the middle of the game and he misses. You're not looking at an overtime game. So it's a lot of coulda, shoulda, wouldas, and that's what's so frustrating is that these losses to Kentucky and LSU weren't blowouts. They weren't. Ole Miss just got run out of their own stadium and Tiger Stadium. It was they had these games, and then just those little things, which is a cliche answer, but it was just little things robbed them from what feeling like they should be 7-0 today.
Yeah, you talk about the atmosphere and being down there. I mean, honestly, probably should have been really quiet for you. Ole Miss misses could have jumped out and really hushed the crowd early. Trey Harris drops the touchdown. I mean, I think he catches that. I think he runs away 7-0 Ole Miss pretty quick. You mentioned the missed field goal, but there were so many miscues, and Ole Miss played a pretty average first half. Still, we're up 17-13. Um, you get through third and fourth quarter, it was just field goals, and then LSU scores obviously at the end to force overtime. But if you look at the win probability, Jake, I mean, I'm sure you saw the graphic. I mean, it was damn near 100% win probability, and then all of a sudden it falls off the map. You saw there was another graphic going around, success rate for each team with the matchup, and Ole Miss per success rate beat LSU pretty much the exact same that Boise State beat Hawaii, which is pretty nuts. If you didn't know, Boise dominated Hawaii 28-7. Honestly, that's kind of, maybe not 28-7, but it felt like a game that Ole Miss should have handedly won, 33-17, something like that. A lot of missed opportunities. We know about that. I thought the defense once again played great. I know a lot of people are going to focus on the overtime play. Jaden Kennedy falls down. But this is, again, like you said, Jake, this to 2 losses on the season. The defense has done its job. It's the offense, which is bizarre to talk about with a Lane Kiffin team. It's the offense that's just not getting it done.
Yeah, last night, Lane has started the Sunday Zooms, last season and kept them into this season. And, he was asked to assess the offensive play through these first 3 SEC games, and he said not good, and kind of continued to expound. But what stuck with me and the phrase he used was conservative, playing to defense, and playing to their defense, because the defense had been playing so well, as you said, that I think leaning on it. And I've never heard Kiffin outright use the word conservative when talking about his offense anywhere, as in choosing to be conservative. And so I found that interesting, and I think that should shed light on what may happen these next 2 weeks, the bye week and the next week, when they got 2 weeks to prepare for an Oklahoma team. And I followed that up with him today. I said, does that mean you're going to insert yourself more than what you already are, or what your level of involved is with offense? He wouldn't go as far as to say that, but it's hard for me to see that he's not considering bigger changes at coaching level, between him and Charlie of involvement, for him to be that open last night about an offense and using words he never uses. So I feel like, it's hard to sit here and watch this team put up 70 points, 50 points, whatever video game numbers through 4 weeks, and the opponents were the opponents, but you still have to execute to do that, score those points, and then to drop off to where you're averaging 23 points a game in SEC play, and a total, if I counted correctly, 19 points in the second half of these games. That's just amazing. Like you said, this Ole Miss defense is playing a level we haven't seen in a very long time, consistently, like week in, week out. Not all right, this is an offense we can handle, and then, we can't handle the next one. No, they've played well against Kentucky, obviously not, and we needed to in clutch moments, but and then handled South Carolina, quieted that crowd down instantly, and then played well Saturday. And like you said, the offense should have helped out. It should have been as quiet in that first half in Baton Rouge as it was last week, South Carolina. It's just they couldn't get it done. That Trey Harris dropped. I don't know if you get the yips in football, but it felt like the whole offense kind of got the yips after that second play of the game. At times, they just didn't look the same.
Yeah, it was strange to see that. We talked about it on our show last week when picking games. This is a really old Ole Miss team. I think Caden Lee is the only starter on the offense that isn't at least 21, 22. It's a really old team. Defense, same way. I mean, I think Suntarian Perkins is the youngest on the defense. Everybody else is old. We all agreed. We thought that would kind of be the edge for Ole Miss in Baton Rouge. You knew it was going to be a great environment. It's a rivalry game. Kind of I don't want to say it's win or go home, but it certainly is now. If you're wanting to make the playoff, you have to win out, or you're going to need to get a lot of help if you're 9-3. But yeah, I mean, I thought that was going to be kind of something that would help Ole Miss combat the environment. And I don't want to say that Ole Miss, kind of clammed up. I think you could argue they got tight offensively, but it was just a weird couple weeks in a row where Jackson Dart just hasn't looked comfortable. And yeah, Trey Harris drops that one, then makes the, circus catch for the touchdown. And then I thought Caden Lee played big in Trey Harris's absence. I think he needs to continue to be a huge part of the offense, whether Trey Harris is out there or not. Obviously, Ulysses Bentley goes out there, 11 carries, 107 yards. He has the phenomenal run for the touchdown. But go back on the other side of the ball. Ole Miss didn't sack Garrett Nussmeier, but he did not look comfortable the entire game. He was running around for his life. He threw a lot of balls away. He was 22 for 51. He got a lot of yards, but completed less than 50% of his passes, Jake. I think if you told a lot of Ole Miss people, hey, you're going to go out, you're going to score 26, Bentley's going to have over 100, and Nussmeier's going to complete 43% of his passes, you think Ole Miss is winning the game. I thought the turning point, and I'll ask you because you were there, you could probably sense it with the crowd. When the officials overturned the strip sack and LSU got to punt it away instead of Ole Miss having it, I think they were around the 15 going in. I think that's when things shifted because I think Ole Miss right there has it in the red zone. You go up 2 scores, I think it's over. I think LSU is really in a bind there. I don't remember how much time was left, but that was my opinion watching it on television. Did you kind of feel the same way, or was there something else that happened where you thought things shifted?
No, that was right when we walked out of the tunnel, get on the field. So I saw the play, and we were right there on I guess the north end where the jumbotron is. So we were right there in front of the student section watching that play, and I was sitting there talking to everybody around us. Like, Nussmeier's arm was right at that, that vault, that middle point. You could go either way. I thought, oh, they rolled it a fumble on the field, but as we've seen, not just Ole Miss games, but all of college football, they're overturning stuff faster than more than you would think with what they call in the field, and that's what they did. I saw it. The arm did come a little bit, but yeah, you're right. They went from having the ball at the 15 to having to go the length of the field, and that on top of the 2 scores, when they were sitting there 2013 or 2016, and I was sitting there going, if they just get to 27, 11 points in the second half, that's going up 2 scores at some point, and it just can never punch that in to get to that 11 point, just 2 score deficit. And
Right.
Yeah, that felt like a key moment where you were sitting there within chip shot range of Davis if you do what you did earlier and force straight runs with Parrish and go nowhere in the red zone. But I felt like if they could have gotten that ball, it felt like a drive where they would have catched a touchdown.
It was kind of similar to the 22 Kentucky game with Will Levis. I mean, the ball getting stripped right before the arm goes forward. I thought it was a fumble. They showed it from several angles. I thought the ball was stripped before the arm went forward. I obviously slightly biased over here watching it, but I was in a house full of 12 other guys that are Georgia, Tennessee, all these other, and everybody in there was shocked when they overturned it. I thought that was pivotal.
The fact they said fumble on the field, that's where I felt, all right, it's just not going to be enough. But like to your point, everybody was shocked. Outside of obviously the fans around us where we were, but everybody on the field, media guys, and neutral bystanders, I guess, or were surprised. Like I said, that changed it. But also they got the field goal. It wasn't a touchdown, but they got points, and it was that. I go back to it, and Lane went to it a bunch today, and his conference Perkins just millimeters away from taking down Nussmeier on that third down play. The stadium was alive already, but that brought it to that level, that mythical level, if you will, that everybody talks about. And that's for me officially the mood kind of changed from there on to the end of the game.
Yeah, Perkins just missed him, and you get 2 interceptions. I thought that was big. Again, defense outside of the one play in overtime, which you got to tip your cap to LSU. They got the one-on-one matchup. That was what they went after. They executed. But again, the defense, was great. I think, being able to hold somebody 23 points in an SEC game when you're Ole Miss and you have all these weapons, you should win that football game, regardless if it's at home or on the road. But interesting you brought up the word conservative, and I guess Kiffin brought it up. He used it. That's what I was saying after Saturday's game on Sunday, talking to other people. It's strangely conservative. I don't get it. Even all the previous games, even the blowouts, it was just kind of base offense. I think a lot of people thought, it's Wake Forest, it's Furman, it's MTSU, it's Georgia Southern. The staff's not going to show anything. They're not going to put stuff on film. That's not the case. They're still doing the same stuff. It's weird, right? You would think Lane Kiffin in 2020, 21, 22, so very creative, a lot of formations, a lot of eye candy with, orbit motion, jet motion, shifting, even in the Peach Bowl last year, a lot of very intricate stuff. It hasn't been like that this year. And maybe that's what they're going to do some self-scouting of this week and try to shift some things, because it's so predictable at times. The couple fourth downs.
Yeah, I think this is the week where you put your analysts, to work, make them earn whatever that little salary is. But he brought Zach Arnett in for a reason, because the state would give them trouble, especially last year when you felt this was a better team. They couldn't score but 20 points or something like that, and a sluggish game. I think you put Zach in a room, watch a film, say, hey, you're a Oklahoma defense coordinator. You come tell us what you're seeing and how you would stop it. And, I know maybe that's what they do. I may be pushing to something they're already doing, but I think you've got to self-reflect and then make some wholesale changes. Because like you said, where's Prescott? He makes like catch once or twice a game at kind of key moment, but then they don't ever go to whatever worked, or he was open out wide or in the middle, and they were more slant routes. I mean, it was just art. Either it was Harris, and when Harris went down, it was Caden Lee. I know that's a knock for him, but the looking his first read, that's he doesn't look anywhere else at times, and it doesn't matter. I don't think it's the Trey Harris thing, because we've learned against Carolina and then Saturday, it's whoever's in the position of where the first read is, that he doesn't try anywhere else. He's tried so many deep balls to Juice Wells, who's triple covered, double covered at times, that you're like, it's either an interception or best case scenario, it hits the ground. And it's just, we're not seeing a lot of dink and dunk and take whatever the defense gives you. But, they do it for maybe like a drive or two, where they're moving down the field after they were sluggish to possession before. And then after that, it's more of the same of a 30-second possession, because you're tempo and you're trying to go. And before you can type LSU punted the ball away in a live update, Ole Miss is punting the ball away. So it's a lot of frustration. And I think that's why I think there's more in what Kiffin's saying. I know he won't say out loud, I'm taking a play calling away, or I'm doing it, because that just generates a lot of attention, especially for us. But maybe you don't want that 2 weeks, and maybe he'll say something Monday ahead of time, and the Oklahoma game. But I think there's a lot that needs to be looked at in this offense. Like I said, put your analyst in there, or people who aren't even analysts, that aren't coaches in the SEC right now, but that reach out to, say, look at our film, tell us what we're not doing right or what we're doing wrong.
Yeah, you mentioned the tight end. I mean, you go back to December of last year, they're running wheel routes with the tight end. Caden Prescott running a wheel route. Not a lot of people do wheel routes with a tight end. You look at I'm sure you saw the screen grab. It's all over Twitter. The deep throw to Daquan Wright, which, by the way, if it was a couple seconds early, it's probably a touchdown. And even though he was late, if it's not underthrown, he has a chance to catch it. I looked, Juice Wells on the far right was probably the right read if you're going deep. It looks like the LSU defender's falling down, and he had him beat. Walk-in touchdown. But you look over on the far sideline, and Caden Prescorn's just standing there, flat-footed. No one's around him. I mean, turn and just lob it to him, and he probably gets down to the 15 or 10-yard line before anyone touches him.
You underthrow him. He's got all the room in the world to run up to it and catch it and still make a play. I missed it live, but I saw it, I think, yesterday, driving back on Twitter. I saw it. I was shocked at how wide open insert any offensive player was, over there. He was just, I don't even think it was a decoy. He said Kane kind of had his arms up like, hey, I'm open. And that one blew my mind the most. That's when I kind of realized, all right, something's just out of whack here. I know people, fans, and others have said it, but now there's something that's tweaking. And maybe, Kiffin said today, this came at a great time, not just health wise, but everything wise, that they just need to, kind of, like you said, kind of deconstruct things and go and reverse engineer some stuff.
You mentioned going on the first read. I honestly think a lot of it is he can't go through progressions, doesn't have time. And I was waiting on them to shift some things around, but the last couple weeks, they're still doing these 5 and 7 step drops. He doesn't have time. I mean, I don't understand why they don't go to the quick game. I mean, the first drive against Kentucky, I mean, it was surgical, straight down the field. I know that people are going to adjust, but like that kind of quick slant, swing route, these RPO, that stuff seems to work a lot better with this offensive line that's really struggling. It's really, really struggling now with Jaden Williams being out. You got Julius Buello gets hurt in the LSU game. You got to shift some people around. I just don't know if you can run okay, we're going to look at the slant. If it's not there, okay, we're going to look at the comeback. All right, we're going to look at the over route. You can't do that. You don't have enough time. And like you said, run some stuff over the middle. I feel like every game now, the middle of the field is wide open because people are just pinning their ears back and just coming after Dart. Throw behind the blitz. Have just Prescore go and just sit down, like right behind the umpire, hit him in the hands, and it's a 7-8 yard gain. I don't know if Ole Miss is pressing, trying to do too much. I think Dart is trying to do a lot. I think he feels a lot of pressure. And that's obviously that's normal. You're an SEC quarterback. There's pressure. I think that they're sensing, hey, this is slipping away a little bit if we want to get to the playoff. But like you said, you get this week to figure some things out, and you get another week of game prep for Oklahoma. I think it's a very winnable game for Ole Miss, but can the offense do it? Because I think Pete Golding and that defense has shown it's more than capable of shutting down a quarterback that's mobile, can move around. They did it to Sellers. The Hawkins kid, he's young, but he's an athlete. He can move around. But Oklahoma's defense is going to test you. So this 2-week window of looking hard in the mirror and having some tough conversations is probably going to dictate what kind of season 2024 is.
And, to that, like you said, the window closing and the CFP, obviously, you went out. But I think at this point, they've also finally started doing style points. If that, you've got to start having those lopsided scores in these SEC games when you're able to, I don't think eking out close wins anymore. They don't have that luxury with the 2 get out of free jail cards already blown in the first 2 weeks of the season with the loss to Kentucky at Saturday. I know they're close and against decent teams at the time. The Kentucky lost Vanderbilt hurts now, but I think they've got to look good now. Committee, they can say what they want, but style points are style points. They're just like, the basketball committee. If the team's running away with it and they're winning, that gets their attention more. And you brought up a good point with Dart. Something I forgot Kiffin acknowledged today, that he felt it was he's doing too much, not he's not doing enough. And so I think that leads to, like I said, you got 2 weeks to just sit here and in a football world, psychoanalyze. Not, I think Dart's mindset's on it, but psychoanalyze just from a football perspective, all of it starting with Dart. And you can't take go back 8 yards thinking you've got time with the pocket where it's offensive line that's shifted around. It's not what it was camp. Guys are in positions. I'd love Jeremy or Caleb Warren to play more than a handful of snaps that I typed out that he played this morning, because we all believe he's had time to get healthy, and we haven't been told he's been any setbacks. But, Kiffin did say look for things to kind of be some changes. People be back in the spots they're supposed to be. So, they're saying all the right things, but now they've got to go out and do it. And like you said, this is an Oklahoma game where I think they'd rather have it first than the Arkansas game fit first after the bye. Getting at home, an Oklahoma team that didn't look great against Texas, you have that film to go off of for your defense to pair with, and on top of fixing your offense. So the ingredients are there. And Lane did say, I think, somebody asked today, about the win out mentality or the win out the players are saying. And it's like, yeah, that sounds good, but what does it mean? And I did talk to players that is what's on the table. But it's still one game at a time. But at the same time, there's a lot of teams who don't have rosters to do win out. Like they're not built for that. They can say it. But he felt Ole Miss still does have that roster where going 5-0, closest thing out is there with the players they have. They just got to start using them the way we thought they used some of these guys.
The good news for Ole Miss, everybody else has to play everybody else. You've got Georgia, Texas. You've got Tennessee, Alabama. So there are losses coming for some. There's no way around that. So Ole Miss, you think ideally you take care of business. You went out 10-2. I think that's good enough. I think because the LSU and Kentucky losses were one score, 3 losses, both or 3-point losses for both. It's not like you said. It's not like you got blown out. I don't really think that how Kentucky ends their season really affects that loss because I don't know. Some people think differently. I think you kind of have to look at it at that week in time. At that point right there, Kentucky, pretty good football team, just took Georgia to the wire. Then they come to Ole Miss and beat you. I still say 10-2 should be good enough because you ideally are beating a Georgia team that is Georgia, and then you're going on the road and beating Arkansas. You're handling business against Oklahoma. You're beating Mississippi State. You go to Florida. Regardless of how these teams look, it's the SEC, and it's the best conference in college football. It means a lot. We've seen that. The committee has acknowledged that. I don't know. We're not there yet by any means, Jake. But I still think if you're Ole Miss, it's good news because, like I said, everybody has to play everybody. So there are losses coming. But 2 weeks, really excited to see what else the players, Lane Kiffin, have to say the rest of this week and next week. As, look, we mentioned Ulysses Bentley being a huge factor. I'd be shocked if he is not a huge piece of what they're going to do on offense moving forward. At that point, I don't know what you do. Why is it taking this long? It doesn't matter. Now you look forward, but he looked great Saturday. You need more of that if you're Ole Miss. You need to have somebody with that kind of dynamic ability to help Jackson Dart. So excited to see what the rest of the bye and what game week looks like as they prep for Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, we're done with them this week. I don't know how much they'll practice. I'll do it a little bit. They gave us everybody today instead of coming back tomorrow for interviews. They even got Ulysses Bentley, which I text you. I said, I don't know how to view. We get James tossing us Bentley out of the blue. Obviously, he played well. He deserved some podium time, as we kind of like to say it. But, I think it maybe leads more into what you're saying, that I think Bentley is kind of going to be that guy finally, maybe, and maybe Matt Jones is going to be the third option now, or we don't know the extent of his injury. Hope, we won't know anything for a week because they won't put anything out this week with the game. So, I'm looking for just everybody being healthy. Kiffin felt that they'd be healthier than they've been, which, that's a coach speak answer, but because 2 weeks, and he's been saying for almost a month now, we're coming along, we're getting healthier. I know Trey Harris is ecstatic to get this bye week. He tried to give it a go. After that, I don't know if they caught it on TV, but after that missed ball incomplete, he put his hand up like NBA style, hey, send me out, and came in a couple times, but then that was it. I think after midway through the third quarter, that last catch, he was not seen out there at all. He played one snap, which was interesting. He came in. I kind of went down with his shoulder. Came in with Peace for play. Then he went to the tunnel. We were down there when he went to the tunnel before regulation was over. So he gets 2 more weeks to kind of rest that foot, that ankle, whatever it is still bothers. So, like I said, it came at a good time. I'm happy that they were the last 16 teams to get their first bye week. I mean, because of that, they're the only team not playing Saturday. They get to prop their feet up. So a lot can happen in some big time matchups this weekend. But I also look at it on this side. If they can right ship and get some of these wins, they do get 2 bye weeks in the next 5 weeks and 2 bye weeks to close out the rest of the season. Everybody else has used up one or maybe both already. They've still got 2 days off with the bulk of this SEC slate going. So, you wanted to be 6-1 at worst, but you're not. But I still think everything in the health wise and bye weeks plays in your favor, but they've got to go out and execute. It's been tough to say they do that. What we've seen these past 3 weeks, but I think Oklahoma can be that get better game. I think it landed at the right spot at the time. Now having played through everything and that we're here.
Yep, we've got Ole Miss Oklahoma in 2 weeks at Vaught Hemingway Stadium. That is a 11 a.m. kick. It'll be on ABC. So if you're not at the game, well, I guess if you are at the game, you're going to be affected. But just go ahead and strap in for 4-minute TV timeouts. Interesting game with whatever Oklahoma's doing on offense versus Ole Miss's defense that, in my opinion, is elite. It's top 5 defense. They played great all year. And then you get to see, hey, what was the self-scout? What were the hard conversations like? What does Ole Miss do on offense? So you've got that in 2 weeks. We will have bye week coverage this week, and then game week. We'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming next week. Jake, Chuck, and Ben and myself will have you covered at omspirit.com. The AP poll, preseason AP poll for basketball came out. Ole Miss came in at number 24. First time, Jake, Ole Miss has been ranked in the AP preseason poll since the 97-98 season. So exciting stuff for Chris Beard and company. But yeah, we'll have all that and more for you at omspirit.com.
Yeah, I'll roll out some baseball stuff I've been holding. I went to a scrimmage, talked to Hunter. We got Mike and Joel Mangrum, before fall ball started. I'm just kind of holding it. And then, we've been talking to Beard and players the last couple of weeks with preseason camp going. So we'll mix in some football stuff to get you through the week. But then, a chance for everybody this weekend to kind of catch their breath, prop their feet up. And what I think is a really good slate of football, not just see. There's some good matchups that can fall the right way, give Ole Miss a little bit of more of a second win come Monday next week when they get back into game week.
Yep. We'll have a couple more podcasts for you this week. We will have a Hit That Line this week, even though the Rebs are on a bye. We'll still have that. I will have another flagship episode this week with a former player. We're going to dive into offensive line, kind of try to, I don't want to say figure it out, but we'll talk about the offensive line struggles and kind of what Ole Miss has to do moving forward and look at a little bit of recruiting in that as well. But tons of content despite the bye week. So stay locked in, omspirit.com, an affiliate of the On3 Network. Jake, appreciate you, buddy. We'll be in touch, and we'll do this again soon, man.
Sounds good. Talk to you later.
That'll do it for this Monday edition of the Flagship. Appreciate everybody tuning in, whether you're on podcast or on YouTube. Until next time, we out of here.